Before you even take your first step today, before the noise of the world tries to drown out the whispers of your soul, I want you to hear this. You are still here for a reason. I know you've been carrying pain. I know some mornings it feels like you're just surviving, like your smile is a mask, and behind it you're tired. Tired of being strong. Tired of pretending you're okay. Tired of feeling like nobody sees how heavy it's been for you. But I want you to know, even in this season, even in the middle of the ache, you are not abandoned. God has not walked away from you. He has not overlooked your tears. And even if it feels like the pieces of your life are too shattered to put back together, He is the kind of God who works in the broken places. Sometimes, healing doesn't begin with the wound disappearing. Healing begins with hope. Hope that the pain won't always feel this sharp. Hope that your story isn't over. Hope that there is still beauty on the other side of the storm. I want you to understand something. Storms do not mean God has left you. They mean you're still on the journey, and the journey is still unfolding. You can be in the middle of the rain and still be exactly where you're meant to be. See, the enemy of your soul wants you to believe that your worth is tied to how together your life looks. He wants you to believe that because you've been hurt, you are damaged. That because someone left, you are unlovable. That because you failed, you are finished. But the truth is, you are not what happened to you. You are not the sum of your mistakes. You are not defined by who walked away. Your identity was spoken by the one who formed you, and He called you loved, chosen, worthy, His. You might be thinking, that's nice to say, but you don't know my story. You don't know what I've lost. You don't know the nights I've cried myself to sleep. You're right. I don't know every detail of your pain, but I know the one who does, and I know He hasn't wasted a single tear. Some of you woke up this morning, and the first thing you felt was heaviness, like a weight on your chest that makes it hard to breathe. You're functioning, you're moving through the day, but inside there's an ache you can't shake. That ache is real, but it's not the end of your story. You see, pain is not always the enemy. Sometimes pain is a messenger. Sometimes it's the sign that you are still alive, still fighting, still in the game. The fact that you feel means your heart hasn't gone numb, and that is proof that God is still working in you. I want you to imagine this. A goldsmith takes a piece of raw gold. It's dull, unshaped, covered in dirt. Before it becomes something beautiful, it has to go through fire. Not just once, but over and over. Each time, the fire draws out more impurities. Each time, the gold becomes more refined. That's what's happening to you right now. The fire isn't meant to destroy you. It's meant to refine you. It's meant to reveal what's been in you all along. Strength you didn't know you had, faith you didn't think you could carry, resilience that's been buried under years of disappointment. And yes, it hurts. Growth always does. Healing always does. But pain with God always has purpose. You see, too many of us try to outrun our pain instead of facing it. We pack our schedules so full, thinking that if we keep moving, maybe the emptiness won't catch us. But here's the truth. Pain has a way of following you. You can move to another city, change your number, cut off certain people. But the wound you never deal with will still whisper to you when the noise quiets down. And that's why I'm speaking to you right now, not to tell you to just move on, but to tell you that healing is possible. And it's not too late for you. I don't care how many mistakes you've made, how many nights you've cried yourself to sleep, or how many people gave up on you. You are not beyond restoration. When God looks at you, He doesn't just see your pain. He sees your potential. He doesn't just see your failures. He sees your future. That means the same hands that shaped the mountains, that hung the stars in the sky, are reaching for you right now. And I want you to picture that. Picture a God who is not cold and distant, but close enough to wipe your tears. Some of you have been living in survival mode for so long, you've forgotten what it feels like to breathe without heaviness. You wake up, and the first thing you feel is the weight on your chest, the regret, the fear, the loneliness. But here's something you need to remember. You were not created to live under that weight. You were created to live free. And freedom doesn't mean pretending the pain never happened. It means acknowledging it, letting God into it, and refusing to let it define the rest of your life. The enemy would love for you to believe that you are broken beyond repair. But that is a lie. If you're still breathing, then God is still working. I don't know your exact story. I don't know the battles you fought in the dark when no one was watching. But I know this. Pain will either break you or build you, And the difference lies in whether you allow God to work through it. And I believe that even now, He is turning some of your deepest wounds into the very testimony that will inspire someone else to keep going. It's easy to think that your story is over when all you can see is the wreckage of what used to be. But hear me. The same God who raised Lazarus after 4 days in the tomb can breathe life into your situation, no matter how dead it looks. You may feel like you're buried, but maybe you're just planted, and planted things grow. So don't confuse your current chapter with the end of your book. You're not finished. God is still writing. And the part you're in right now, this painful, confusing, exhausting part, might just be the setup for the biggest turnaround of your life. I want you to think about this. A wound doesn't heal by being ignored. It heals by being treated. And some of you have been putting spiritual band-aids over deep soul wounds, hoping they'll just go away with time. But time alone doesn't heal all wounds. Truth does, love does, God does. You see, when you take that broken heart to God, you're not taking it to someone who will judge you for being hurt. You're taking it to the one who created your heart in the first place. He knows every scar, every crack, every place where it feels like something is missing. And His promise isn't just to make you feel better for a moment. His promise is to make you whole. Psalm 147 verse 3 says, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. That's not just a nice Bible verse to read when you're sad. That's a promise from a God who has never lied, never failed, and never turned His back on you. But healing requires honesty. You can't keep telling God, I'm fine, when you're not. You can't keep walking into His presence wearing a mask, hoping He'll fix the surface while you hide the deeper pain. God can only heal what you're willing to reveal. And here's the thing. He already knows. Every sleepless night. Every time you smiled in public, but cried in private. Every time you said, I'm okay, but your heart was screaming for help. He saw it all, and He never walked away. Some of you have been asking, God, where were you when my heart was breaking? And maybe you've thought He was silent. But the truth is, sometimes God's presence is quiet because He's carrying you through things you couldn't have walked through on your own. You might not feel it now, but I promise you will look back one day and realize that even in your worst season, you were never alone. So today, I'm asking you to do something brave, to give God everything. Not just the good parts you're proud of, but the shattered pieces you'd rather no one see. Because when God puts something back together, it's not just restored, it's redeemed. And there's a difference. Restored means it looks like it did before. Redeemed means it comes back better, stronger, and with purpose. Your heart might be hurting right now, but it is not hopeless. And if you'll let Him, God will take that pain and turn it into a platform to show the world just how powerful His love is. I need you to hear me when I say this. The pain you've been carrying is not a life sentence, is not the end of your story. It's a chapter, yes, but not the whole book. And the author of your life has not put down the pen. Some of you have let one heartbreak define your whole identity. One betrayal, one season of loss, one moment when everything seemed to fall apart. And now you've been walking around with labels you were never meant to carry. Unlovable, unwanted, forgotten, unworthy. But those labels, they didn't come from God. God calls you chosen. He calls you loved. He calls you redeemed. He calls you His. And when the Creator of the universe calls you something, that name is permanent. It doesn't matter what anyone else says. It doesn't matter who walked away or who stayed silent when you needed them most. Their silence does not mean God's absence. Let me tell you something I've learned. God will often allow certain people to leave your life because they were not meant to be in your next chapter. And I know that hurts, especially when you thought they'd be there forever. But sometimes God's protection feels like rejection. Think about it. If you remove them, it's because they were either going to slow you down, distract you, or damage you more. And He loves you too much to let that happen. I want you to imagine for a moment a child holding a broken toy. That child is clinging to it because it's all they know, even though it's sharp, jagged, and hurting them. And the parent says, give it to me. I can fix it. But the child cries, no, I don't want to lose it. That's how some of you are with your pain. You're holding it so tightly because letting go feels like losing control. But God isn't asking you to give it up so you'll have nothing. He's asking you to give it up so He can give you something better. Here's the truth. God can heal you instantly if He wants to. One touch from Him and years of heartbreak can be undone in a moment. But sometimes, instead of instant healing, He walks with you through a process. Not because He can't do it all at once, but because the process changes you in ways the instant miracle can't. See, a miracle changes your situation, but the process changes you. Some of you are in that process right now, and it feels like nothing is happening. But trust me, something is happening. Roots are growing deeper. Strength is being built. Your faith is being stretched. And God is making sure that when He heals you, the same thing that broke you before will never break you again. And I know you're tired. You've prayed, cried, believed, and still the pain lingers. But do not mistake the silence of God for the absence of God. He is working in ways you can't see, setting things in motion that will blow your mind when it all comes together. Sometimes, before God brings healing, He brings clarity. And that clarity can hurt, because suddenly you see the truth about people, about situations, about yourself. But clarity is a gift. It's God saying, now you see what I've been protecting you from. Now you see why I had to close that door. So if you're in a season where you're losing people, losing opportunities, losing things you thought you needed, maybe you're not losing at all. Maybe you're just making room. Room for new relationships. Room for new purpose. Room for new joy. And maybe, just maybe, the heartbreak you've been cursing will one day become the testimony you'll be praising God for. Because let me tell you, I've never met anyone who walked through heartbreak with God and came out weaker on the other side. Never. Every single one came out with a deeper faith, a stronger spirit, and a story that changed lives. And that's what I believe for you. You see, healing is not about pretending the pain never happened. It's about deciding that the pain will no longer have the final say over your life. The enemy loves to keep you in a cycle where you wake up every morning replaying yesterday's wounds. Why? Because if he can keep your eyes on what hurt you, you'll never have the strength to see what's ahead of you. But I want you to understand something today. Your future is not hiding behind your pain. It's waiting beyond it. And that means you have to make a choice today. Am I going to stay in this broken chapter? Or am I going to turn the page? Some of you have been rereading the same hurt for years. The betrayal, the rejection, the words spoken over you that cut so deep you still feel them echo. But here's the truth. You cannot rewrite the past, but you can start a brand new chapter right now. And that new chapter begins with one decision. I will not live as a prisoner to my pain. Yes, it happened. Yes, it was unfair. Yes, it broke something inside you. But what if I told you that even the broken pieces of your life can still build something beautiful? What if your scars were not proof of your defeat, but the evidence that you survived? God does not waste pain. And I know some of you are thinking, if He doesn't waste pain, then why does it still hurt so much? Because healing is a process. A wound doesn't close overnight. But here's the difference. Pain without God leaves you empty. Pain with God leads you somewhere. It becomes the soil where faith grows, the place where strength is born. Think about Joseph in the Bible. He was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. Every step of his journey looked like a setback, but in reality it was a setup. And years later, when Joseph stood in a position of power, he could look those same brothers in the eye and say, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good." Joseph's life proves something to you right now. God can take what the enemy meant to destroy you and turn it into the very thing that saves you. And maybe you're sitting here thinking, but my story is too messy. My heart is too shattered. Friend, let me remind you, God specializes in impossible cases. He's not intimidated by your brokenness. He's not standing on the sidelines, shaking his head, wondering how to fix you. No, He's already working behind the scenes, even in moments you can't feel Him. The problem is we often measure God's presence by our emotions. If we feel peace, we think He's there. If we feel pain, we assume He's gone. But the truth is, God's presence is not dependent on your feelings. He promised, "I will never leave you nor forsake you." That means even in the nights you cried yourself to sleep, He was there. Even in the moments you questioned your worth, He was there. Even when you didn't have the strength to pray, He was still holding you together. I need you to hear me. What you went through will not define the rest of your life. You might have been wounded, but you are not worthless. You might feel broken, but you are not beyond repair. And you might be in a season of loneliness right now, But that does not mean you are alone. Sometimes God will let you walk through a season where people walk away, not to hurt you, but to protect you, because He knows some people cannot go where He's taking you. Some relationships, some environments, some mindsets, they belong to the old chapter, not the new one. And if you try to drag them into your future, they will keep you stuck in the past. You have to trust that when God removes something, it's because He's making space for something better. And yes, I know it doesn't feel like better right now. Right now it feels like loss. It feels like loneliness. It feels like silence. But trust me, there is a difference between being abandoned and being set apart. Abandonment is rejection without purpose. Being set apart is separation for preparation. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. The version of you that will walk into your next season cannot be the same version that barely survived the last one. That's why God is stripping away the things that once defined you, the labels, the lies, the limitations. He's not doing it to hurt you. He's doing it to free you. And I know that's not easy, because letting go is never comfortable. We'd rather cling to what's familiar than face the uncertainty of what's next. But faith is trusting that what's ahead of you is greater than what's behind you, even if you can't see it yet. You see, healing is not just about feeling better. It's about becoming better. It's about waking up every morning and deciding, I will not give yesterday permission to steal today. It's about looking in the mirror and reminding yourself, I am not what happened to me. I am who God says I am. You are chosen. You are loved. You are not forgotten. And your story is not over. The enemy wants you to believe you've reached the end. But God is just turning the page. And when He turns the page, everything changes. Sometimes the world tries to define you by your wounds. It tells you that you are what happened to you, that your mistakes are your identity, that your failures are your future. But you are not the sum of your pain. You are the sum of your courage to rise again. You are the sum of the times you stood back up, even when your legs were shaking. You are the sum of the hope you dared to hold on to when everyone else told you to let go. The truth is, your scars are proof that you survived something meant to break you. They are not signs of weakness. They are evidence of strength. Think about it. Every champion you admire has a backstory full of setbacks. Every person you look up to once walked through the valley of rejection, fear, and doubt. But what separates them from the rest isn't luck. It's the decision to keep moving forward. It's the decision to see the pain as a stepping stone instead of a stumbling block. And you have that same choice right now. You can carry the weight of yesterday, or you can release it and walk into tomorrow lighter, freer, stronger. It's not easy, I know that. Letting go never is. But holding on to what's hurting you will only keep you stuck in a place you no longer belong. The longer you hold on to bitterness, the more it poisons your joy. The longer you replay the moment you were hurt, the more it steals from the moment you are living right now. You deserve to experience life fully. You deserve to wake up in the morning without the heaviness in your chest. You deserve to smile without having to pretend. That's why today is not just another day. It's your turning point. Picture yourself a year from now, looking back at this moment. Imagine telling someone, that was the day I stopped letting my past control me. That was the day I decided my healing mattered more than my pain. You will thank yourself for making that choice. The version of you in the future, the stronger, freer, more joyful you, is counting on the version of you today to take the first step. And here's something powerful. You don't have to see the entire road ahead to start walking. You don't need to have every answer before you begin. Sometimes all you need is the courage to take one small step in the right direction. Just one. Because momentum grows with movement, and healing grows with every choice to keep going. If you take one small step today and another tomorrow, eventually you will look back and realize you have walked miles away from a place you once felt trapped. I want you to stop waiting for the perfect moment to heal. Stop waiting for the right person to apologize. Stop waiting for every piece to fall into place. Sometimes the healing starts when you decide to stop waiting and start living. Don't waste another season of your life replaying the pain of the last one. Step out of the shadow and into the light of possibility. And remember this, your value has never been determined by what someone else did to you or said about you. Your worth is not up for negotiation. You are not damaged goods. You are not beyond repair. You are still capable of joy, love, success, and peace. You can rebuild. You can dream again. You can be whole again. There comes a point in life where you must decide that the weight you've been carrying is no longer going to be the reason you stay stuck. Some of you have been walking around with invisible chains, chains of regret, chains of rejection, chains of fear, chains of shame. And you've gotten so used to their weight that you've started believing it's just part of who you are. But let me tell you something. It is not who you are. You were not born to be chained. You were born to be free. You were born to walk in confidence, not hesitation. You were born to rise, not shrink. And the moment you start to believe that, your entire life begins to change. You might say, but I've been through too much. Yes, I know. I know there are nights you cried yourself to sleep. I know there are days you didn't want to get out of bed. I know the phone calls you were hoping for never came. I know the apologies you deserve still haven't been spoken. But here's the truth. Your story is not finished. What you've been through may have shaped you, but it does not define you. Pain is part of the process, but it is not the destination. Every scar, every disappointment, every tear can become the very fuel that pushes you toward your purpose, if you let it. So today, I want you to make a decision, not just in your mind, but deep in your heart, that you will no longer let your past dictate your future. Stop waiting for permission to live. Stop waiting for someone to finally see your worth. Stop waiting for the perfect time. The perfect time is now. Life will not pause until you're ready. You have to take your step, even when you're scared. You have to walk forward, even when you don't have all the answers. Courage isn't about not feeling fear. It's about moving forward despite it. Some of you have been playing small because you're afraid of failing. But can I tell you something even more dangerous than failing? Never trying. There are gifts inside of you that the world needs. But they will stay locked up if you never take a chance. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to start. The first step doesn't have to be big. It just has to be yours. And every time you take a step, no matter how small, you break the grip of fear just a little bit more. And here's something else I want you to remember. Not everyone will understand your journey. And that's okay. Some people will question your decisions. Some will doubt you. Some will even walk away. But you are not living to win their approval. You are living to fulfill your purpose. If you spend your whole life trying to please everyone else, you'll lose yourself in the process. The right people will come into your life when you're walking in the right direction. The wrong ones will fall away when you stop dimming your light to make them comfortable. When life knocks you down, and it will, don't just get back up. Get back up stronger. Learn from a fall. Let it teach you where you need to be more careful, more intentional, more resilient. Every setback is an opportunity to rise higher. The most inspiring people you've ever heard of didn't have perfect lives. They had imperfect lives, full of challenges and failures. But they refused to quit. And that's what made them unstoppable. I want you to picture something right now. Picture the version of you that's living without fear. The version of you that's confident, that's bold, that's walking fully in your calling. What would that version of you be doing differently right now? Would they be speaking up more? Would they be chasing that dream you've been putting off? Would they be letting go of that toxic relationship? Whatever comes to your mind in this moment, that's your sign. That's the change you need to start making today. This is the truth. You have survived every bad day you've ever had. Every single one. You are still here. You are still breathing. And that means there is still hope for you. You have more strength than you realize. You have more potential than you've tapped into. Don't waste another day living below what you were created for. Your time is now. The pain you've been through wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to shape you into someone stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Yes, there will be days when the old thoughts try to creep back in. There will be mornings when you wake up and doubt yourself. But in those moments, you have a choice. You can agree with the doubt, or you can agree with the truth that you are capable, you are worthy, and you are enough. The choice you make in those moments will determine the direction of your life. The people who make the biggest impact aren't always the ones with the most talent or resources. They're the ones who refuse to give up. They're the ones who keep showing up when it's hard. They're the ones who speak life into themselves when no one else is around to do it. You can be that person. You can be the one who keeps going, even when it would be easier to quit. Because quitting won't get you where you want to go. But persistence will. So let this be your turning point. Let this be the day you draw a line in the sand and say, no more. No more letting fear control me. No more letting the past hold me back. No more waiting for someone else to rescue me. I am choosing to rise. I am choosing to move forward. I am choosing to believe in the possibility of a better tomorrow. And I will fight for it every single day. There comes a moment in life when you look at yourself in the mirror and realize you've been carrying a weight that was never meant to be yours forever. You've been walking through days with a heaviness on your chest, trying to keep going, trying to smile, trying to act like you're fine. But deep down, you've been fighting battles that no one sees. And the truth is, you're tired. You're tired of pretending you're okay when you're breaking inside. You're tired of waking up every morning already feeling defeated. And if that's you, I want you to hear me right now. This is not the end of your story. You may be in the valley, but valleys are not meant to be lived in forever. They're meant to be walked through. You see, the people who seem the strongest are often the ones who've been through the most storms. They've faced days when they thought they couldn't get up, and yet here they are. That's you. The fact that you're listening to this, the fact that you've made it through days you didn't think you'd survive, that's proof you're stronger than you realize. And I know sometimes strength feels like a curse because it means you've had to endure so much. But strength is also a blessing. It's what will carry you from where you are to where you're meant to be. I want you to remember something powerful. Pain is not permanent. Feelings are not forever. What you feel right now is not who you are. It's just where you are. And where you are right now is simply a chapter in your book, not the whole story. The hurt, the loss, the disappointment. They're not your identity. You're not the mistakes you've made. You're not the people who left you. You're not the doors that closed in your face. You are more than that. You are a fighter. You are a survivor. You are still here for a reason. Now, I know it's hard to believe that sometimes. When the nights feel endless and the mornings feel empty, it's hard to see purpose. But purpose doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. It whispers in the fact that you woke up today. It whispers in the fact that you still have breath in your lungs. It whispers in the little moments. The way the sunlight comes through your window. The way someone smiled at you today. The way a stranger held the door open for you. These are signs, small but powerful, that you're still meant to be here. I might want to tell you that the road ahead will be easy. It won't. There will be days when you feel like quitting. There will be moments when you question if it's worth it. But those are the moments you must decide. Are you going to give in to the voice that says stop? Or are you going to rise and say, no, this isn't where I end? Because you have more inside you than you know. The human spirit is unbreakable when it refuses to surrender. And right now, I'm asking you not to surrender. You may have been hurt by people you trusted. You may have been overlooked when you should have been seen. You may have been betrayed, abandoned, or forgotten. But none of those things define you. What defines you is how you rise after you've been knocked down. What defines you is the choice to get up one more time than you've been pushed down. What defines you is the refusal to let your pain be the end of your story. Think about the strongest people you know. Think about the heroes you admire. None of them became who they are because life was easy. They became who they are because they faced difficulty. And instead of letting it crush them, they let it shape them. Every scar, every tear, every sleepless night, it became part of their strength. And the same can happen for you. You're not just surviving this season. You're being shaped by it. You're learning things about yourself you never would have known if life had been smooth. You're discovering strength you didn't think you had. You're finding resilience in places you thought were broken beyond repair. And one day, you're going to look back at this season and realize it didn't break you, it built you. So here's my challenge to you. Today, make the choice to keep going. Not because it's easy, not because you feel like it, but because your future self will thank you. Because someone out there needs your story. Because the world needs the light only you can bring. You may not see it now, but your life is touching more people than you realize. And please, don't let loneliness trick you into thinking you're alone. If not, there are people who care. Even if you haven't met them yet, there are opportunities waiting. Even if the doors haven't opened yet, there is joy ahead, even if you can't feel it right now. Life has a way of surprising us in the moments we least expect. Keep your heart open. Keep your mind strong. And remember, this pain, this struggle, this heaviness, it will pass. But the strength you're building in this season, that will last a lifetime. You are not weak for feeling broken. You are not failing because you're struggling. You are human. And being human means we get to grow, we get to heal, and we get to rise again. One step at a time. One day at a time. That's all you need to focus on right now. Just keep going. There will be days when your heart feels heavy, and the very act of getting out of bed feels like dragging yourself through mud. Your mind replays the past over and over, the mistakes, the regrets, the times you trusted and got betrayed. You wonder if it's even worth trying again. And this is where many people give up, not because they're weak, but because they've convinced themselves there's no point. But I'm here to tell you, there's always a point. Your story is still being written. What feels like an ending might just be a chapter break. The problem is, when we're hurting, we tend to shrink our world. We stop calling people back. We stop doing things that used to make us feel alive. We put our dreams in a box and hide them in the back of our mind, thinking we'll come back to them later. But later never comes unless we decide it will. You can't wait for life to feel safe before you start living again. You have to move, even when your legs feel shaky. You have to speak, even when your voice trembles. Every great comeback story starts with someone who refused to stay down, not because they weren't hurt, but because they made a choice. I will not let this break me completely. And here's the thing. That choice is available to you right now. It doesn't require a perfect plan. It doesn't require a burst of energy. It only requires that you take one step, just one, and then another tomorrow. If you think about the people you admire, the ones who inspire you, you'll find that every one of them has faced moments where they felt empty, unqualified, or even invisible. The difference is they didn't let that be the final word. They picked up their life like broken pottery and decided to start piecing it together again. Sometimes the cracks are still visible, but those cracks become part of the beauty. The Japanese have a practice called kintsugi, where they repair broken pottery with gold, making it even more valuable than before. You too can become more valuable, not in spite of your wounds, but because of them. Stop letting other people's opinions become the ceiling over your life. Some of you are still replaying words that someone said years ago, and it's stopping you from stepping forward. That person might not even remember what they said, but you do, and it's time to let it go. You don't have to prove them wrong. You just have to prove yourself right. You are not defined by that criticism. You are not bound to the labels people try to put on you. And please hear me on this. Healing is not a one-day event. It's not something you wake up and suddenly feel done with. Healing is a process, and processes are messy. There will be days you feel strong and days you feel like you're back at the beginning. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human. The goal isn't to never feel pain again. The goal is to not let pain control the rest of your life. There's a reason why some people, despite facing storms that should have broken them, still stand tall. It's not because their life is easier. It's because their perspective is different. They've decided that no matter what happens, they will not allow circumstances to define their worth or their future. And you can make that choice too. It doesn't mean you'll never feel pain. It means that pain will not own you. I know there are days when getting out of bed feels like lifting a mountain. Days when you look in the mirror and you don't even recognize the person staring back. You've been through so much that sometimes you feel like a shadow of yourself. But listen to me. You are still in here. The real you, the fighter, the dreamer, the believer, is still alive. You might be buried under layers of disappointment, heartbreak, or fear, but you are not gone. And the moment you start speaking life over yourself again, the moment you start saying, "This is not the end for me," you begin to dig yourself out. You might think, "But I'm too far gone. I've made too many mistakes." No, you're not too far gone. You are exactly where a miracle can happen. Because miracles don't happen in perfect conditions. They happen in the middle of mess, when everything seems hopeless, and suddenly light breaks through. But here's the thing. Light doesn't break through for those who close their eyes and give up. It breaks through for those who keep looking toward it, even when all they see is darkness. You might feel weak right now, but I promise you, there is more strength in you than you realize. Every day you've survived up to this point is proof. Think about it. You face situations that could have destroyed you, but you're still here. That means there's something inside you that refuses to quit. And I want you to feed that part of you. Speak to it. Tell it. We are not giving up. We are not stopping here. We're going to rise. Don't underestimate the power of small steps. Sometimes you don't need to run. Sometimes you just need to keep moving forward, even if it's just 1 inch at a time. I've seen people crawl their way out of rock bottom, not because they had all the answers, but because they refused to stay there. And I need you to hear this. You are worth fighting for. Your future is worth fighting for. Your peace is worth fighting for. You can't control every storm, but you can control how you face it. You can choose not to let bitterness take root. You can choose to believe that there is still beauty ahead of you. And yes, it's going to hurt sometimes. Growth always hurts. Breaking free from chains you've carried for years will hurt. But it's a pain with purpose. And that kind of pain is worth enduring. One day you're going to look back and realize that the nights you cried yourself to sleep were the nights you were being strengthened. The days you felt abandoned were the days you were being redirected. Nothing you've been through will be wasted. Not a single tear. Not a single heartbreak. Because all of it is shaping you into someone who can stand, someone who can rise, someone who can inspire others to do the same. So keep going. Not because it's easy, but because you're not done yet. Sometimes we get so caught up in the noise of life that we forget the power of simply being still. We fill our days with tasks, with deadlines, with endless scrolling and checking, trying to keep our minds busy so we don't have to face the ache inside. But here's the truth. Healing doesn't come from running faster. It doesn't come from stuffing your schedule so full that you forget you're human. Healing comes when you give yourself permission to pause, to breathe, to admit that you're hurting and still trust that you're not broken beyond repair. I want you to remember something. Pain is not proof that God has abandoned you. In fact, the very ache in your heart could be the reminder that He's closer than you think. Sometimes the broken places in us are the very places where His light pours in the brightest. Think about that for a second. The cracks you hate about yourself, the moments you wish you could erase, those could be the openings where God's love has been reaching you all along. And maybe you've been trying to heal in secret, keeping your struggles tucked away so no one can judge you. But here's the thing. Isolation only feeds the loneliness. When you hide your wounds, you also hide the opportunity for others to love you through them. You don't have to put on a fake smile every morning just to convince the world you're okay. The truth is, the people who truly matter won't be scared of your mess. And God, He's never been afraid of the real you. Not for 1 second. You might be thinking, but I've made mistakes, big ones. Friend, welcome to being human. Mistakes aren't the end of your story. They're chapters that can lead to redemption. Don't let your past become the chains that keep you from walking into your future. I don't care how dark it got. I don't care how deep you fell. You are still here breathing, listening to this right now, which means God isn't done with you yet. And if He's not done, you don't get to be done either. It's easy to compare yourself to others and think they've got it all figured out. But comparison is a thief. It will rob you blind of joy, peace, and gratitude if you let it. You don't need someone else's timeline, someone else's approval, or someone else's version of success to feel whole. God didn't design you to be a copy. He made you original, with a purpose that fits you and only you. So stop measuring yourself by standards that were never meant for you in the first place. Now let's talk about those moments at night when the weight feels the heaviest, when the room is dark, the phone is silent, and all you can hear is the echo of your own thoughts. I know how loud they can get. I know how convincing the voice of doubt can sound. But here's the thing. Thoughts are not facts. Just because fear says you won't make it doesn't mean that's true. Just because the past whispers you'll never change doesn't mean God agrees. His voice speaks life, and every time you choose to believe His truth over your fears, you're taking another step toward healing. If you've been feeling tired lately, not just physically, but deep down in your soul, I want you to take a moment and acknowledge how far you've come. You've survived days you thought would break you. You faced storms you didn't think you could handle. And yet here you are. That is strength. That is courage. Don't minimize your own survival story just because you're still waiting for the happy ending. Every single day, you keep showing up is proof that you are stronger than you know. And maybe right now, the future looks blurry. You can't see the way forward, and that terrifies you. But you don't have to see the whole road to take the next step. Sometimes God gives us just enough light for the step we're on. Not the whole journey, not the whole map, just the next small move. And that's okay, because when you take that step in faith, the next one will appear. Before you know it, you'll look back and realize you've walked miles without even realizing it. So if you're listening to this today with a heavy heart, here's what I want you to do. Don't rush your healing. Don't beat yourself up for not getting over it faster. Healing is not a straight line. It's a messy, winding road full of ups and downs. Some days you'll feel strong. Some days you'll feel like you've gone backward. That's normal. What matters is that you keep moving, keep believing. Keep letting God meet you where you are. You are not defined by what happened to you. You are not defined by the people who walked away. You are not defined by your mistakes. You are defined by the one who made you, and he calls you chosen, loved, and enough. And if you hold on to that truth, nothing, not your pain, not your past, not your fear, will ever have the final say over your life. There are going to be days when you wake up and nothing feels right. The air feels heavy, your heart feels tired, and your mind is already racing before you've even stepped out of bed. It's in those moments that you have to remind yourself, your feelings are not your final reality. Feelings are temporary. They change. They come and go. But the truth about who you are and what God has called you to do, that truth never changes. You are not defined by your rough morning, by your lack of motivation, or by the mistakes you made yesterday. You are defined by the grace you carry, by the potential inside you, and by the God who woke you up again today, because your purpose is still alive. And that's what I want you to understand. If you still have breath in your lungs, you still have a reason to fight. That reason might feel blurry right now. You might not even know what it is. But purpose isn't always something you see clearly in the moment. Sometimes you just keep taking steps, you keep showing up, and you keep giving your best, even when you feel empty. Because it's in the showing up that your breakthrough begins to form. You can't win a race you refuse to run. And every time you choose to try again, you're building a strength in yourself that will carry you further than you can imagine. When life gets heavy, most people retreat. They isolate. They give up. But you're not most people. You're listening to this because something in you refuses to settle for less than you were created for. You might feel weak today, but I promise you, there's a strength growing in you right now you can't see yet. Just like a seed buried in the dirt doesn't look like it's alive. You might not look like you're winning right now, but under the surface, things are moving. Roots are forming. And if you keep pressing forward, that hidden growth will push through and change everything. Don't let temporary pain make you forget permanent truths. You are loved. You are chosen. You are stronger than you think. Every storm you've faced so far, you've survived. You've carried pain, disappointment, rejection, and fear, but you're still here. That's proof of your resilience. You may have scars, but scars don't mean you're broken. They mean you've been healed. And every healed place in your life can become a testimony that gives someone else hope. You have to see yourself the way God sees you, capable, equipped, and victorious. The enemy will always try to distract you with lies about your worth. But the truth is, you have overcome too much to let lies stop you now. Look at your journey. Look at how many times you've gotten back up when life tried to knock you out. That's not weakness, that's power. And the world needs that power. There are people who need to see your story unfold so they can believe in their own victory. So even if today feels like a crawl forward. Even if you can't sprint toward your dreams right now, just take one step. Don't measure your progress by speed. Measure it by persistence. Because persistence is what separates those who talk about change from those who actually live it. You can have dreams, but without persistence, they fade into what could have been. I don't want that for you. I want you to look back years from now and say, I kept going and it was worth it. And here's something else. You don't have to have it all figured out before you move. Too many people wait for perfect timing, for perfect conditions, for perfect clarity. But there is no perfect moment. There's only now, and now is powerful. Because now is all you have, and what you do with now determines what your future will look like. If you waste now, you weaken your future. If you use now, you strengthen it. When you wake up tomorrow, the battle will still be there, but so will your choice. Will you choose to give in, or will you choose to stand up and keep going? Every time you choose strength over surrender. You train your mind to fight for you instead of against you. Every time you speak truth over your life, you push back against the lies that try to hold you down. You're not a victim, you're a fighter. And even fighters get tired, but tired fighters still win battles. Let today be the day you stop underestimating yourself. Let today be the day you speak life over your situation instead of death. Say to yourself, I can. I will. I must. Say it until it becomes more than words, until it becomes reality. Speak it when you don't feel it. Speak it when everything looks impossible. Because your words shape your mindset, and your mindset shapes your actions, and your actions shape your future. So stand tall, lift your head, breathe deep, and remember, you're not just surviving this season, you're being shaped by it. The weight you feel today is building the strength you'll need tomorrow. Don't throw it away. Keep going. Keep believing. Keep fighting. There will be mornings when you wake up, and the weight on your chest feels heavier than the blanket that's covering you. Days when the light trying to seep through the window feels too bright for the darkness you feel inside. But those are the mornings you need to speak louder to yourself than the voices of doubt in your head. You've made it this far not because life has been easy, but because you've chosen again and again to get up when it would have been easier to stay down. You didn't just survive your worst days by accident. You are here because you have strength in you that you probably still don't fully see. And this morning, that same strength is waiting for you to call on it again. You see, motivation isn't about feeling hyped for a few minutes and then losing it by lunch. Real motivation is when you can stare at a day that looks like it might knock you down and say, not today. I've been through worse and I'm still standing. It's not about pretending you have no problems. It's about reminding yourself that your problems don't have you. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become in the middle of what happened. Some people wait for the perfect conditions before they move forward. They think, when I feel better, I'll start. When I have more time, I'll start. When it's easier, I'll start. But you already know, the perfect time never shows up. The only time you have is now. And the only version of yourself you have to work with is the one that's breathing in this moment. That's why you've got to push even when it's not easy. Because if you only move forward when it's convenient, you'll never move very far. Think about every single time you've been through something that you thought would break you. You thought you couldn't get through the loss, but you did. You thought the heartbreak would last forever, but here you are. You thought the disappointment would crush you, but you're still here breathing. And you know what that means? It means you're stronger than you were before. The person you are today is built from every battle you fought and every night you've made it through. That's not weakness. That's the definition of resilience. And resilience doesn't always look like confidence. Sometimes it's just quietly deciding that you're not going to let the day win. Sometimes it's getting up, brushing your teeth, drinking some water, and saying, I'm showing up anyway. Because every time you choose to show up, you prove to yourself that your future is still worth fighting for. You may not see all the results right now, but every choice is a seed, and those seeds grow, even when you can't see them yet. Here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. Life doesn't get easier, but you get stronger. That's the part people miss. They think the goal is to have no problems, but the real victory is becoming the kind of person who can face those problems without losing yourself. It's building a mind and a heart that can stay steady in the middle of chaos. And that strength? It's built every day in moments just like this one. So if this morning feels heavy, that's not your cue to give up. That's your training ground. It's where you prove to yourself that you can rise even under the weight. It's where you remind yourself that you've got breath in your lungs, purpose in your life, and more to do. You're not here to watch life pass by. You're here to live it, fully, courageously, and unapologetically. You will have moments when you feel invisible, like nobody notices your effort. But hear me, the work you do on yourself is never wasted. The discipline you build, the habits you keep, the choices you make in private when no one is watching, they're all shaping the life you'll step into tomorrow. And while the world may not see it yet, the transformation is happening. Every small step matters. Every small win adds up. Every time you choose to do what's hard instead of what's easy, you are writing a story you'll be proud of. There will be people who doubt you. And sometimes that doubt will come from people you thought would believe in you the most. That's okay. Your destiny doesn't need their permission. Their disbelief doesn't have the power to cancel your progress unless you hand it to them. So keep moving. Keep showing up. Let your consistency speak so loudly that their doubt becomes background noise. You are more than the labels people have tried to put on you. You are more than your mistakes. You are more than the moments when you felt too weak to go on. Your identity isn't tied to your worst day. It's built in the decision you make right now to keep going. You are allowed to outgrow the version of yourself that once settled for less. You are allowed to rise. You are allowed to be proud of the fact that you're still here, still fighting, still believing in something better. There's something powerful about understanding that your worth is not tied to your wounds. The enemy will always try to whisper reminders of your past failures, your broken seasons, your embarrassing mistakes. But let me tell you something. When God looks at you, He doesn't see the labels the world tried to stick on you. He sees redeemed. He sees chosen. He sees His child. You might be thinking, but I've messed up so many times. How could God still have a plan for me? Let me remind you, God is not in the business of throwing people away. He's in the business of rewriting stories. He doesn't toss out the clay because it's been dented. He reshapes it into something beautiful. And maybe, just maybe, the very thing you think disqualified you is the thing God will use to set someone else free. I want you to think about this. Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet are the ones who've walked through fire and didn't let it consume them. Yes, they have scars, but those scars are proof they survived. They are living testimonies of God's sustaining grace. And that's you too. So here's what I want you to do today. Instead of hiding your broken pieces, offer them to God and let Him turn them into a mosaic of grace. People don't connect with perfection. They connect with honesty. Your story might just be the key to unlock hope in someone else's heart. Now hear me on this. You can't stay in the pit of self-pity and expect to see the view from the mountaintop. If you want to climb, you have to move. If you want to heal, you have to open your heart. If you want to step into God's calling, you have to step out of your comfort zone. Growth never happens where you're safe. It happens where you're stretched. You might be standing at the edge of a decision right now. Maybe it's walking away from a toxic relationship. Maybe it's finally chasing the dream God has been whispering into your heart for years. Maybe it's letting go of bitterness that's been poisoning you from the inside. Whatever it is, today is your day to choose courage over fear. I'll tell you something about fear. It's a liar. Fear magnifies the what-ifs and drowns out the promises. It will make you believe you're not capable, not ready, not enough. But faith? Faith will remind you that with God, you already have everything you need to step forward. You may not see the whole staircase, but you can take the next step. And when you take it, God meets you there. That's how He works, one step at a time, one yes at a time, one act of obedience at a time. I don't know what your mountain looks like right now, but I do know this. You were made to climb it. And when you reach the top, you'll look back and realize every tear, every trial, every sleepless night had a purpose. Not because the pain was good, but because God brought something good out of the pain. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. The perfect moment is the one you decide to trust God with everything you have, right here, right now. The perfect moment is today. And when the enemy tries to remind you of your past, remind him of his future. You're not who you used to be. You're not bound by the same chains. You've been set free, and freedom looks good on you. Walk into today with your head held high, your heart steady, and your eyes fixed on the one who never let you go. You're not just surviving anymore, you're living. And that's worth celebrating. Before you step further into today, I want you to hear this loud and clear. Breakthrough is closer than you think. You might be standing at the edge of the hardest battle you've ever faced, your heart heavy with scars, your soul weary from waiting. But God is stirring. He's moving in ways you can't yet see. I know it's been long. I know the nights you spent wrestling with doubt, asking, why God? When will this pain end? You are not alone. Even David cried out in the Psalms, out of the depths I cry to you, Lord. Lord, hear my voice. Psalm 130, verse 1. That cry, raw and desperate, is a holy thing. It means your faith is alive, still breathing, still reaching for God's hand in the darkness. Your pain has not disqualified you from God's plan. It has qualified you for something greater. God often chooses the broken, the bruised, the hurting, because through the cracks in us, His light shines the brightest. You are a vessel designed not just to carry pain, but to carry His glory through that pain. Remember Isaiah 61 verse 3. God promises to give a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. This is not just poetic hope, it's a divine promise. Whatever ashes you carry, God is ready to transform them. Whatever mourning clings to your heart, He is ready to replace it with joy. Whatever despair threatens to steal your breath, He offers praise and strength to stand firm. Think about the story of Joseph, betrayed, sold into slavery, forgotten in prison. His story could have ended in bitterness, but it didn't. Instead, God used every hardship to position him for a divine purpose, saving nations. Your story is no different. The pain you have endured is not the end, but the beginning of your breakthrough. You might be asking yourself, how do I even begin to move forward when every step feels heavy? The truth is you begin with a single step of faith. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just one step. When Peter stepped out of the boat onto the stormy sea, his focus was on Jesus. When he took his eyes off the waves and fixed them on the Savior, he walked on water. That same Jesus is inviting you to step out today. Maybe today's step is choosing to forgive, not for the sake of the other person, but to free yourself. Forgiveness is not a feeling. It's a decision to release what holds you captive. It's an act of courage, and it opens the door for God's healing. Or maybe today's step is reaching out to a trusted friend, a counselor, a church family, whoever can remind you that you are not alone. Healing is often a journey traveled best together. God is a God of restoration. He promises in Joel 2 verse 25, I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten. Those lost years, those stolen moments of peace and joy, He will restore. You may not see it yet, but restoration is coming. I want you to picture a garden. Imagine the soil, hard, cracked, barren from drought. It looks lifeless, but beneath the surface, seeds are planted. They are waiting. With time, with rain, with care, those seeds break through the soil, reaching for the sun. What looks like death on the surface is actually life, preparing to burst forth. That garden is your heart. The dry places, the empty places, are not the end of your story. They are fertile ground for new growth. You can keep moving. You can keep trusting. You can keep believing that God is turning your pain into purpose. If you hold on to that truth, if you lean into it with all your heart, you'll find that breakthrough isn't just a distant hope. It's a coming reality. You've been through the fire, and it has shaped you in ways you can't fully understand yet. But I want you to know that the fire never consumes what God intends to keep. It only burns away what's unnecessary. Like gold purified in the furnace, you are becoming more precious, more radiant, more aligned with God's plan. Romans 8 verse 28 says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. That verse doesn't say some things, or only the easy things. It says all things, your heartbreak, your setbacks, your losses. God is weaving them into a tapestry of purpose. He is the master craftsman working behind the scenes. Sometimes the waiting feels unbearable. You want to see the breakthrough now. You want to hear a clear answer. But God's timing is perfect, even when it doesn't feel that way. As Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1 reminds us, there's a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. Your season of waiting is not wasted. It's preparation. It's a divine pause where God is strengthening your spirit, deepening your faith, and readying you for what's next. I want you to think about the story of the woman at the well in John 4. She came carrying burdens, shame, and isolation. Yet, when she encountered Jesus, everything changed. He offered her living water, a promise of renewal and endless hope. Your breakthrough moment might feel like that, unexpected, life-changing, deeply personal. That living water is available to you. It's not just a metaphor. It's a promise of refreshment for your soul, healing for your wounds, strength for your weakness. Whatever you are thirsting for, peace, joy, restoration, God's well is deep, and His grace is overflowing. I challenge you today to take a moment to imagine yourself drinking deeply from that well. Feel the refreshing power saturate every dry place inside you. Let it remind you that your soul's deepest needs will be met, not by the world, not by people, but by God alone. Now here's the call to action. How can you start living in that breakthrough right now? What steps can you take to open the door for God's healing power? Maybe it's surrendering control. Sometimes we hold on too tight to the pain, to the whys, to the if-onlys. But Jesus invites us in Matthew 11, verse 28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Rest isn't just sleep. It's a deep peace, a releasing of the fight, and trusting God to carry you. Or maybe it's speaking truth over your life daily. You are beloved. You are strong. You are a child of God, called to rise above your past and walk in victory. Speak those words over yourself even when it feels impossible. The enemy will try to convince you otherwise, but God's word stands firm. If bitterness or anger has taken root in your heart, consider the freedom found in forgiveness. Forgiving doesn't erase the hurt, but it breaks the chains that keep you stuck. It's a gift you give yourself. And don't underestimate the power of community. Healing was never meant to be done alone. Find your people, those who will walk with you, pray for you, and remind you of God's promises when your faith falters. Remember, breakthrough often follows obedience, even when obedience is just showing up and saying yes to God one small step at a time. As we close this part, I want to leave you with this. God is not finished with you. Your heart, even in its brokenness, is the very place He wants to pour His love and healing. The wounds you carry are not the end of your identity. They are the beginning of a new chapter where His glory will shine through your scars. Hold tight to hope. Step forward in faith. And keep your eyes fixed on the God who heals, restores, and makes all things new. Today, you stand on the edge of a new dawn. The shadows that once clouded your heart are beginning to lift. The weight of yesterday's pain is growing lighter, and the promise of tomorrow is shining brighter than ever before. You have journeyed through the valleys of sorrow, the deserts of doubt, and the storms of despair, and now, by God's grace, you are stepping into your breakthrough. Let me remind you of God's eternal promise in Jeremiah 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. Those words are not just comforting. They are a declaration that your story is far from over. It is unfolding exactly as it should, with God's hand guiding every step. You have learned through your trials that pain is not the enemy, but a powerful teacher. It has shown you your strength, revealed your faith, and refined your character. Like gold purified by fire, you have emerged more radiant, more resilient, and more ready to walk boldly in God's purpose. Remember Romans 8, verse 37. No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through Him who loved us. You are not merely surviving. You are conquering. Your scars are not signs of defeat, but badges of victory. Proof that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. As you move forward, hold tightly to the truth that you are deeply loved, not for what you have done, but for who God says you are, His beloved child, chosen, cherished, and destined for greatness. The future before you is a canvas yet to be painted. The past, with all its pain, is a foundation that has prepared you to create a masterpiece. Don't let fear or doubt steal your vision. Step boldly into the plans God has for you, knowing He goes before you, equips you, and never leaves your side. Take to heart the encouragement from Isaiah 40, verse 31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. You have hope, a wellspring that will keep you moving, lifting you when you feel weak, and carrying you toward the destiny God has set. Today, choose faith over fear. Choose courage over comfort. Choose to believe that your healing is not just a dream, but your reality in Christ. You are not alone. God's love surrounds you. His power sustains you, and His Spirit empowers you. Stand tall, beloved soul. Your heart is being healed, your story redeemed, and your life transformed. Keep pressing forward. The best is yet to come.